Got two more questions, then I'm gonna go get to work. Yeah. The first one is from MK again. Good morning, MK. All right. Good morning, good evening, however your day's progressing. Yeah, it's a little. I don't know. I haven't been sleeping all that well, but the day's going okay. Thank you. Okay. So that wonderful fecal sample question brings up another. Fine, let's go there. You mentioned there are similarities in the tissues from the intestines and the lungs. Yeah, by similarity, I mean there are some of the same proteins that are expressed in both places. Because you don't make a completely different set of proteins for every cell type. There's a lot that, what seem like totally different cell types are going to have in common. Even among some of the specialized protein types. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap, which is why when you go in and want to genetically knock out a gene, you find all these other weird effects that you weren't expecting. You're saying, oh, no, I'm knocking out a liver gene, and then you get a change in the brain or development or something like that, and you say, oh, it was also a brain and development gene. Yeah, fine. Yeah, so there's some people that have gastrointestinal symptoms with COVID. Yeah, it seems like pretty much everybody gets COVID in their intestine, but not everybody notices it. It's not as fearsome a disease as the one in the lung, and so it's just not as painful, noticeable. Or you're dealing with enough other stuff that it's like, yeah, a little bit of diarrhea is the least of my problems, maybe. Yes. So digestive acids do break down SARS coronavirus 2, or should at least, into non-viable but identifiable bits. And not just digestive acids, also those it's bile salts, yeah, little leftover bits of broken cholesterol, if I remember right. So, how are people ending up with gastrointestinal symptoms if the stomach is breaking down the virus? Good question. Yeah. So the stomach acid will break down, it'll penetrate the surface of a particle. But if you have viruses that are inside, some kind of blob of something, so a virus that's gotten mashed up with a little blob of food that you ate, then your acid may carve down from the outside, but it may not get into the juicy center of the Tootsie Pop where our virus is for the moment. And so it could survive that way. The other way it could survive is in mucus. So if you've got a virus and it's all wrapped up in mucus, normally the mucus is there because it catches viruses. It's like fly paper, but for viruses. Virus paper, yeah. That's some of that stuff will get swallowed just naturally. That's where all the pipes connect. And so if you've got some of that down there, you may have a virus that's inside of that, and that would potentially be protected. It all depends how long this is going to sit inside of your stomach before it moves into the intestine. Because while it's in the stomach, it's probably getting demolished, and once it gets to the intestine, it may have a little reprieve, at least until the bile starts flowing, and then, it's in trouble again. I think the idea is that there is so much of the receptor down in your intestine that eventually one virus gets through and finds a way and gets in there. And once one gets in, then it can just grow and spread. That part's easy. But it probably takes a little while, and you probably swallow a whole lot of viruses that do not make it for every one that does. I haven't seen a good study that looks at what's the rate, like how many make it through different stages. And even if you could do that to naked virus, it wouldn't tell you exactly what happens to virus in mucus, virus in food. There's so many ways to do the experiment, and I don't know. You'd eventually find something that protects the virus a little bit occasionally for this. It's sort of a 1 in a million thing that's you're gonna swallow at least a million viruses. So it's gonna come up, but it's also very unlikely. Yeah, it's both unlikely for an individual virus and inevitable given how many viruses you're going to have inside you. How about that? Maybe that's better. Yeah. So should I be concerned with fast food workers who are on food prep lines not wearing masks? Yeah, I am. I am. It's not great anyway, but yeah. It's very low risk, but there is some risk, and I'd rather have no risk. It's like a preventable risk. It's just, yeah. Although if you're working like on a grill or something like that, it's already going to be hot back there, and it would probably be just unbearable to be in a mask. I'm thinking like checkout counter or something like that. You're probably okay, and at the Chipotle near me, which is my ideal for a food service line or whatever. Yeah, they do all wear masks, and it seems like it's fine. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Last little bit. Still not 100% comfortable with takeout food, so I'm wondering how much contamination can be from food. Yeah, so far that has not been shown to be a major source of infection. I don't know of any definite cases from food. A lot of cases from being indoors together. A couple of cases from being outdoors together. It seems to be mostly being close to people directly. I haven't seen a lot of cases where they can actually demonstrate that it's coming from person to food to person because that person probably handed you the food. I mean, how would you know if it's from the hamburger or from the person who's breathing out, high volume coronavirus while handing you the hamburger? It's more likely the person. It's always more likely the person, I think. So, is it okay to eat a burger from a drive-through on my road trip? Yes, I think so. I've been doing that, and yeah, anecdotally, yeah, there's only one of me, but I'm just fine. So there you go. That's what we call non-scientific advice. It's that's just an anecdote. Or an ice cream cone? Yeah, ice cream cone. You'd want them to wear a mask if they're making an ice cream cone because cold preserves the virus very well. And just yeah, it's a tiny risk, but don't why take tiny risks? I don't need any extra risks. Yeah, life is hard enough. Should we be using sanitizing wipes on cups and packaging? I know some people do. I don't think you have to. I feel like that's probably you're controlling. You're trying to control a risk that is probably pretty tiny. But at the same time, if you're like, I don't want to take any risks, yeah, whatever. Sanitize them. It doesn't hurt the food. It's fine. And thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. That was a lot of questions to pack into one, but yeah, we got there. We got there. Thank you very much. This has been Ask Dr.